Hello, Oracles. Is Elon stepping down? Last night, Elon put out a poll on Twitter asking if he should step down as the head of Twitter. So as of the time of this recording, the votes right now are 57% for yes and 43% for no. And by the time you watch this, we will have the answer to that question. So Lex Fridman actually came out and offered up his services, no salary, nothing, just to be able to help out and temporarily run Twitter. Don't know if that's actually going to come out and come to fruition, but a lot of people seem to be on board with this. So again, we don't know who would end up taking over as head of Twitter, but sounds like Elon at this point is going to be stepping down. Now, what does that mean for Tesla stock? Well, as of the time of this recording, the market is cheering this. We are up 4% pre-market, so we'll see how this plays out over the course of the day. Obviously, this whole Twitter thing has been a huge drama fest all year long, so maybe at the point where we're at, and this is my take on it, is Elon is still obviously going to be primary owner of Twitter. That's not a question. He's obviously still going to have major say in what happens over at Twitter. But it'll be much like SpaceX, where somebody else will be there to handle the day-to-day operations. And heck, even Tesla basically runs like that right now. So that's kind of how it's going to be going forward. So my thought is, when it comes to, the push towards free speech, which I know a lot of us on here are really looking forward to, because this is something that we see as the full mission that Elon is shooting towards, I think that is still going to be taking place. I think Elon is still going to have a major say in that push, but by him not being the head of it, he'll basically have, for lack of a better term, a scapegoat that's going to be there. So if anything goes awry or anything goes, against what somebody wants, that person will end up taking the fall for it, and Elon won't take as much of the heat, thereby separating the brands of Tesla and Twitter. Because as many of us have seen, and even with the move this morning in the stock, there's obviously a connection between the two. So I think that by Elon stepping down, he'll still be able to have enough say in the move forward with Twitter towards free speech, but it'll separate the two brands, and we won't see this whole pull in one direction or the other based upon Elon doing or saying something over on Twitter. Now, that's not to say that Tesla stock is going to be immune from Elon's tweets. Clearly, we've seen that plenty in the past before he owned Twitter. But I think the actual movement on the political side of things, based upon how Twitter is operating, is not going to be affecting the stock anywhere near as much. The question then lies going forward, does Elon have to sell more shares to float Twitter along financially? That we have to wait and see. So the question right now is, can Tesla stock hit $200 by the end of the year? So some of the things that I looked at were, now with this poll going on and Elon most likely stepping down, this overhang that we've been talking about with Twitter forever might start to kind of slide away because of that whole political aspect of it. So obviously we've seen a little bump this morning pre-market. We got numbers that came in for CPI and PPI that were good. PPI was a little higher, but still moving in the right direction. So we're seeing inflation coming down. The Fed has given us their stance, and despite the fact that they said it in a more hawkish manner, we're still looking at, they did their 50 basis point hike, so we got those answers. We're most likely going to be getting probably a 25 basis point hike come February 1st. So we're moving in the right direction there. So we have a lot of the answers. Now, don't forget, the market does not like uncertainty. Right now, in this moment, when it comes to the macro environment and the questions that we have for the immediate term right now within the next 2 weeks, there really aren't a lot of questions that need answers. So we might actually see this Santa Claus rally going into the end of the year. Now, we also got some great news from Tesla just this past weekend. Berlin hit 3,000 vehicles per week this past week. Now, as you guys remember, Austin hit that last week. So this means that Austin is actually ahead of Berlin. Now, Berlin should be starting their third shift next week. So if Berlin starts their third shift next week, that could allow them to then pass Austin again. But then we should be seeing Austin's third shift coming up sometime in January, maybe around the Q4 earnings call. So the both of them are neck and neck right now, but it seems like Austin is actually ramping faster than Berlin. This is great news. And then, of course, they've got the Cybertruck that's going to be coming up this year as well. Now, we do have Tom Zhu that is down over in Austin at the moment. Don't know if he's still there, but we know that he was there a couple of weeks ago. That maybe gave them that little bit of a spur. Maybe that's what gave them that little push to get past Berlin. Maybe Tom's next step is to go over to Berlin and get them on the same program. So again, I have a feeling on Q4 earnings call, we might hear about Tom Zhu getting a new role of maybe Director of Global Operations, Director of Global Production, something of that nature. I think we might end up hearing about very soon, which is huge because if we can get all 4 of the current factories right now operating like Shanghai, and then when we get Mexico up and running, and again, we don't know the details behind Mexico, we don't know what vehicles they're going to produce. So again, though, that's going to be a factory. So if that factory is going to be operating much like Shanghai, that bodes really well for the future, especially when it comes to Master Plan Part 3, when it comes to scaling to extreme size. So scaling to extreme size means scaling at an extreme rate. Shanghai does that right now. We are now looking at all of the other factories starting to get to that point as well. So as of right now, I did adjust my production numbers for the end of the year. There's only 2 weeks left, so it wasn't a major adjustment. But looking at the run rate that we have right now for all of the factories currently on a conservative side, we are at a run rate of just over 2 million vehicles annually. Now don't forget, that's before Berlin gets their 3rd shift. That's before Austin gets their 3rd shift. And the goal for next year to go 50% year over year would be 2.1 million. So by the time we get to the end of this year, we will most likely be at that 2.1 million vehicle production run rate. So to start the year, what the goal is going to be for next year, this means that if we do run into any headwinds, hitting 50% year over year for production should not be an issue unless we have some sort of really catastrophic black swan event that comes in. But don't forget, this past year, we had Shanghai, their #1 producing factory, down for 6 weeks, and they still are most likely going to be hitting that 50% year-over-year production rate. And then, of course, the question is going to be deliveries, but deliveries should not be an issue either because we've got the EV tax credit that's kicking in. I actually had Tesla text me over the weekend offering me up 10,000 miles of free supercharging that I would need to use within 2 years. Mathematically working it out, based upon 40 cents per kilowatt, that to me would be about $4,000 as well. I'm still saying no to the vehicle because I think 2023 is going to be one of the greatest opportunities of our lifetimes to be able to invest in things that could give us a great return on our investment and give us a big return for any cash flow generation that we would want. I think we will have great opportunities in the housing market, great opportunities in the stock market. I think we are going to see some amazing buying opportunities in 2023, and I want to be ready for that. I think being a wise investor, this is not financial advice, but I think it would be much more wise to put our money into investments in 2023 rather than spending it on something that is not going to give us any sort of return whatsoever. Now, buying a Tesla, the resale value is pretty good, so I did think about the fact that if I buy it, I could always just sell it again later. But going into a potential deeper recessionary time, that might not be wise, and I might not be able to get my return that I would want on that vehicle. So I'm just being wise with mine, but I do still think that we are going to see a big boom in deliveries when it comes to 2023. Q1 could be massive as well, with a lot of people who have delayed from December going into January. I'm going to start monitoring even more closely a lot of the inventory in the areas around me. I have been seeing that growing lately, so I'm going to pay attention in January and February to see if that inventory has been dwindling down. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. But I think even on a global basis, even if we do hit a deeper recessionary time, I do still think that deliveries are still going to be growing. Maybe they don't hit that 50% year over year, but even if we hit 45%, that's still massive growth in the company. We are also going to be having Project Highland coming out. We may see that coming out of Fremont by the time we hit Q2. That could be a significantly lower price when it comes to Model 3. That would put another vehicle at a lower price point that would also qualify for the EV tax credit here in the US. That could bump up deliveries significantly as well come Q2 if that is what plays out. And if you guys want to check out more about the demand, we did a live stream on Friday with Dave Flam and Lee from Tesla Economist discussing just that, all of the demand that we could see in 2023. And so then looking at the stock price from a chart perspective, right now we are back into oversold range. With the Elon's tweet last night, chances are we will come back out of oversold range. But again, like we had seen previously, we've been dipping into oversold, we come back up to that 40 to 50 range, and then go back into oversold territory again. Is that going to happen this time around and we see another dead cat bounce? We just have to wait and see that one out. But I think with this, we might end up getting that push into the end of the year. Maybe we get to 200, maybe we just get to 180. Don't really know. Near-term movements are all over the place. I still do have, if all these stars align, a price target of 205 by the end of the year, which I know is quite a massive push that we could see, but there is some massive weight that is now being lifted with Elon potentially stepping down as the head of Twitter, so that might give us a little bit of a push. Again, I know I'm being optimistic with 205, but that is where we're at right now, and I think there is a chance, if all the stars align, that we could get to that point by the end of the year. So tomorrow night, one thing that I do want to discuss with you guys, going back to my thoughts of, really putting your money into investments in 2023, we are going to be having a live segment on here. We're going to have Jen Strahan back on, and Adam, who is over on Twitter. If you guys follow him over there, I'll put their links to their Twitter pages down in the description. And the two of them both love Tesla as a company, but they're looking at the economy from outside of the echo chamber of Tesla stock. And this is something I wanted to present to you guys is, yes, it's awesome to be bullish on Tesla. I think the company is amazing, and I think the stock price is going to be phenomenal 10 years down the road. But we have to face the reality of the situation for the near term, and that's really what this conversation is going to be about. It's going to be about the near-term issues that we're facing right now, which could keep that stock price suppressed lower than a lot of people think it should be. Now, again, not to say we don't want it to run, but we need to be realistic. And if you keep on thinking in your mind, Tesla should be at 350, why is it not there? You're going to be internally frustrated on a regular basis. If you can accept the reasons why we are there and actually utilize it as an opportunity to add more, then it's going to be more beneficial for you in the long run and a lot less stressful for yourself on a daily basis. So that's the conversation we are going to be having tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern time. I'll put the link up for you guys as soon as I can, and then I'll share it with you guys in the morning again tomorrow as a reminder. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How do you feel about Elon stepping down as head of Twitter? Do you think this is going to be a good move for Tesla stock as well? Do you think this really is going to minimize the drama that we hear between the two over on Twitter? And how long do you think it's going to be before Elon appoints someone? He did not put a time frame on this, so just curious as to what your thoughts are as a time frame, and how would you feel about Lex Fridman possibly coming in and being that CEO for Twitter? Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support and feedback. If you have not subscribed, please do so down below. Sign yourself up for notifications. I am over on Twitter at OracleTim1. I share all the latest Tesla news, pertinent stock market information, and all of my daily trades. We do have a Discord chat. That link is down in the description. And if you'd like to support the channel any further, we do have a membership program and a Patreon. Those links are also in the description. Thank you so much. Have a great one.